Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boschman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive Podcast. In this episode, we're going to look at the forecast for each life path number for the month of November 2023. Before we get into that, this, of course, is a general reading. If you would like a personalized reading where we'll take a look at your actual personal numerology and dive a bit deeper into that, you can book some time with me. My information is in the description box below. I would love to work with you. On that note, I'm getting ready to put out the the 2024 year ahead forecast for each life path number. I'll probably have those out in early November. Or let's just say mid-November to be safe. But if you're interested in sort of getting ahead of the curve and you want to know your personal year ahead forecast, because it will be different than, potentially different than the life path forecast. If you want to know your personal year ahead forecast, then book some time with me. I would love to look at that for you. I will also include, if you book before January 2024, then I'll include any time up to that point. So if you book now, then you'll get the rest of October, November, December, and then all of 2024 in your forecast for your year ahead. So, and if you book in January, that's great too. You'll get all of 2024. So, if you're looking to maybe get figure out what's going on potentially for the next couple of months, then this is a great time to book because I will throw those additional months in for free. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at November. I can't believe we're already here, but here we are. So let's take a look. Life path number 9. So you all are going to be working with your own energy this month. So you're going to be working with the energy of the 9. So before we talk about that, I want to talk about your animal wisdom message. So I pulled a card for you and you got white buffalo energy. This is interesting because I feel like you all have gotten this before. It's a very divine spiritual energy. And so it's incredibly beautiful. So I want to talk about this for a second. There's definitely, with white buffalo coming through, this energy of sort of divine intervention or divine gifts, potential for prosperity. And it doesn't have to be related to money. It can just be feeling lighter in some areas of your life. So, if there's a place where it's felt sort of heavy, you could see that lighten up now and kind of feel like the weight is being lifted in that area. So there's just a lightness to this month as far as with white buffalo coming through. And again, sort of this very magical, mystical type energy coming through where it's you might see things come in now that feel almost like magic, right? They just come in and it just feels very divinely guided. So synchronicities, you could meet somebody now that's, a lifelong partner or somebody who will be in your life for a very long time. It's interesting because not a lot of people think of 9 energy as being soulmates or romantic, or I'm not saying 9s themselves. I'm just saying the vibration of the 9. But it's a very divine energy, right? It's the humanitarian, right? It's a very divinely spiritually guided energy. And so it's not uncommon during a 9 cycle, which November is a 9 cycle for you 9s, to meet a soulmate or a divine counterpart. That's not unlikely at all. That happens a lot. And so you may see someone come in at this time that is, exactly that, right? And it doesn't have to be a romantic partner, although it could be a business partnership that helps to, get something off the ground for you, or helps you to, find your place in the world and, share your creative gifts or whatever the case may be. Or it could be, you meet a lifelong friend at this time, or you adopt a pet or something like that, right? So something that uplifts you, someone that uplifts you, could absolutely come in at this time. It's like a helping energy. So it's incredibly beautiful. And I would say make sure that you follow the breadcrumbs, right? So it's kind of if you feel called to go to the park today, go to the park and see. There might be someone, maybe there's a stray cat that adopts you and changes your life. You just don't know, right? But it's that kind of magic that's in the air for you all this month. That's incredibly beautiful. The other thing I would say is there's also like this energy of divine protection, right? So it's kind of like you might feel pushed or called to do something this month and not really understand why. And what I would say to that is follow the breadcrumbs. You may not know why for several years from now, but continue to follow the breadcrumbs if it feels aligned for you, if there's like curiosity there, if you feel drawn to it, right? Because sometimes we sabotage ourselves and don't go for the whatever the thing might be because we don't know why it's presenting. But sometimes we don't truly understand why something presents to us or an opportunity or whatever until much further down the road. So we have to follow the breadcrumbs to get to the loaf of bread, basically. So there might be some things that come in for you this month that just make no sense, but that you feel drawn to. And I would say absolutely be curious, explore, follow the breadcrumbs. Okay, so for you all, there's definitely this energy coming up this month where I think you're going to be looking at compromise over sacrifice. And so especially with your relationships or your deeper connections, take a closer look or use this month as a checkpoint to see where it is that you have been sacrificing yourself. And where it is that you need to kind of pull back a little bit and really set some healthy standards and have healthier behavior around those connections where you are filling up your own cup first and then filling up the cup of another. So you have these healthier standards where it's like, you know what? I'm not going to be your doormat. Find another doormat type thing. I'm here to help, support, and encourage you or whatever I need to do, but I'm not going to do it for you type thing. That's just an example, right? Like however it comes in for you, but there's definitely something here around compromise. Perfect, beautiful, great. It builds healthy relationships. It strengthens relationships when we can compromise. But when we sacrifice, it's a totally different energy, right? And so that sacrificing creates resentment. It creates animosity. It creates just ick, right? So really take a closer look at where it is in your life that you're sacrificing yourself and where do you need to make some adjustments, modifications. Again, compromise is fine, but to compromise, it's something where it's like we can still feel good about ourselves. We can still feel good about the interaction and the connection if we compromise on this. Standards, if we drop our standards for someone to be that martyr or to, fulfill that obligation or whatever the case may be, it's hard to feel really good about that. It's hard to feel, not feel resentment or whatever the case may be. So I would say take a closer look at your relationships this month, your connections, your commitments, and see which ones leave you feeling resentful or frustrated or stuck. And those are the ones that are going to need your attention to change the behavior, to modify in some way. The other thing I would say is this is going to be a big month 9s where you really do kind of need to recognize your own limitations, recognize where it is that you continue to show up, but it doesn't feel good, and where it is that you need help, right? Like where it is that you need assistance. I know I say this a lot for 9s, but this month could come in very strongly, where you really do need to take a closer look at where it is that you have limitations and where it is that someone else has those strengths and you can call them in to assist. So asking for help and receiving help is a big energy this month. Falling more into receptivity. The 9 energy is such a receptive energy, but it's interesting because it's also the humanitarian. So it's very much about giving and, serving, but serving a greater purpose, right? But it's interesting because there's such a strong dynamic or keynote of the 9 that's about receptivity, stillness, letting things come to you and then you deciding what to do with it. So I do think, and that's very much aligned with that divine protection or that divine intervention where it's like you're allowing the opportunity to show up for you and then you're deciding what to do with it. But part of that is also being proactive where you're taking a look at where it is that you have limitations or need help and you've been trying to do it all yourself. This is the month where you need to ask for help. You need to seek that out. You need to find those resources to help fill your cup. So you could see that coming in. Another, some other key themes that could be coming through this month, of course, have to do with forgiveness, compassion, empathy, understanding. Where is it that we need to forgive? Where is it that we, need to forgive the person so that we can release that energy, that negativity? Doesn't say that you have to, it's not saying that we need to forgive the act, right? We could still hate the act. We can still not be okay with the act. But the act it's energy, right? It's not tangible. The person is a divine being. And so when we can see that divinity within that person and forgive that person and recognize that the act is not the person, doesn't mean that we put up with that behavior moving forward. Of course, there would need to be changed behavior to have a connection with that person. But forgiveness and relationships are two different things. Connection, forgiveness, two different things. So you could find this month that there's a really big call to find forgiveness for somebody. And you can do that energetically. You don't have to do it with the person, especially if it's a toxic connection. So a lot of those themes could be coming up for you this month. But just remember, you're very divinely protected this month. There's a lot of I think it could feel almost like a magical month. Like there's just sort of a lot of magic kind of happening, a lot of behind the scenes, like your spirit guides are busy at work and like you'll kind of see their wings every now and then. You'll catch a glimpse of their wings type thing. So it's really beautiful energy this month. But I would definitely say to ask for the help that you need this month as well. Don't try to do it all yourself because, again, I would say anywhere in your life where you feel resentment, anger, frustration, stagnation, that's really asking you to take a closer look at your behaviors, your actions, and what modifications you can make with your own actions and your own behaviors to help alleviate those feelings of frustration, right? So if you're getting frustrated by showing up too much to some person, you're the only one that can change that dynamic because more than likely that person's not going to change it because they feel like you're giving because you want to give. So again, it just takes it's just asking us to take a closer look at ourselves, right? So beautiful energy for you all. And remember, you might just meet someone very special this month. So, all right, take care, Nines. Bye for now.